Welcome back to the channel. Back in the garage today. As you can probably tell, I'm doing some work on the Bonneville. It's into the autumn now. This bike's sorned, it's off the road for the winter, so I'm in the process of giving it a really good clean and servicing the bike as well before it's laid up for the winter, so it's ready and perfect to come out again next spring. But the mighty Bonneville has an Achilles heel. The air-cooled engine, although it's absolutely rock solid and robust, and a great engine, really strong, and probably really trouble-free, but it does have one issue, which can be disastrous for the bike. What can happen on this machine, occasionally, well, not necessarily occasionally, but what can happen is, sometimes when you try to start the bike, if there's an issue at all, or there's some kind of backlash or something with the starter motor, which can happen, what it can do is it can actually shear off one of the lugs that hold this idler gear on here. This gear, basically the starter motor, although it looks, I've actually disconnected the starter motor and it's dropped out of position, but the starter motor cog normally drives this idler wheel, which in turn drives the sprag clutch, which then engages, because this can only go in one direction, so that normally it was trying to turn in this direction with the starter motor, and that what turns the engine over and makes the engine start. But if you get some kind of wee issue with the starter motor, what can happen is it absolutely wrecks the bottom crankcase. If I remove this wee pinion and take this gear wheel out, the idler wheel out, you see this lug at the back here on the bottom, the lower crankcase. That can actually shear off and cause catastrophic damage to the crankcase. I'll show you a photograph that I picked off the internet of what's actually happened to somebody else's bike. And it's basically the walls on this this mounting aren't really very strong. And if you look at the crankcase cover, or the clutch casing cover that came off here, this is where this gear wheel fits in. This pinion also locates in this cover, and this wheel sits on there. So this is supported on this side of the casings. So not only does it break off that mounting on the lower crankcase, it can also break off this mounting as well. As you can see from this second photograph that I took off the internet, this gets wrecked as well. So basically what can happen, what catastrophic damage can cause, the whole lower crankcase assembly can be wrecked, and that outer casing as well can be wrecked. And if the bike is a fair age, I mean, that's a hugely expensive repair to buy a brand new lower case. Plus it's an engine out, it's a complete engine strip to replace these. It would potentially can cause the bike to be written off and become unviable to repair. And for a bike like this, which is absolutely in great condition, that would be such a shame if something like that was to happen to it. So for a long time I've actually been aware of a product called Safe Start, which is a fix for this issue. And I had located a source in America, and I thought, great, I found it, and I'm going to buy that part. And so earlier this year, I decided, right, I'm going to get it. So I went on to their website, only to find it would stop. They were no longer doing it, and I couldn't find a source anywhere. I thought, bummer. I should have got it when I had the chance. I had the chance to buy that part and rectify this potential issue. So I resigned myself to the fact, well, that's it, it's done, I'm not going to be able to get that. I just hopefully, touch wood, it'll never ever happen to my bike. But you know, sometimes there's a thing called Sod's Law. It does happen, and it wrecks the motor. You say, God, I wish I had got that when I had the chance. But just by pure chance, this year, I was watching a video on Freddie Dobbs's channel, basically, and I don't know if anybody else follows Freddie Dobbs, but he's not the best mechanic, so I wouldn't take anything mechanical he says at face value. But he does, his channel's really good, and he's a good presenter. But he's got a Bonneville pretty much the same year as this one as well, and he's done mega miles on it, he's done a huge amount of adventures on it. But his bike was getting pretty wrecked. He didn't maintain it very well, and he's not. So his bike became pretty much, it was at this kind of stage, not through this fault, I have to say, but it was needing a massive amount of work in it and became pretty much unviable. He was having a huge amount of troubles with it. But he was so lucky because to his rescue came Joe from the Works, and Joe's a first-class mechanic. And he has a YouTube channel called The Works. And I was watching that because Joe basically took Freddie Dobbs' bike and he basically rebuilt the bike for him. He did a tremendous job. He had a huge amount of hours, a huge amount of work, and the bike was beautiful when Freddie Dobbs got it back. But when I was watching The Works and watching what Joe had did to Freddie's bike, he mentioned that he had fitted a safe start. And I thought, wow. And he also said where he got it from. Anyway, so I was straight on to that website called Triumph Twin Power, and I bought the kit. I bought the Safe Start unit, which I'd been trying to find from America. And yet, one duly arrived. And what basically came included in the box was this tiny little unit here, which is basically a reinforcement for that lug. And where it goes is down here on this lug here. So, because this is the point it breaks. And this lug basically goes over the top of it and it reinforces that item. So that's what we're basically going to fit today. I'm going to stick on this wee reinforcement into that wee lug. So basically what comes with the kit is the wee boss itself. You get some alcohol wee cleaner to wipe away the surface. You get a pack of JB Weld to basically glue or bond this mount onto the crankcase. A wee stick-on white dot. A glove to protect yourself so your hands don't stick together with the JB Weld. Instructions on how to fit the unit. A wee card from Ultimate Twin Performance Limited, Triumph Air-Cooled Twin Specialists. And what also comes with, that's quite nice as well, is a certificate to basically complete, say, the engine number, when the item was fitted. So that if you sell the bike on, this can go with the V5 documents, etc. So you can give some a proof to the new owner to say, well, this has actually been done, this has been modified. So that's a nice kit to have. So basically the first job is to basically make sure everything's clean. So I'll give the wee mount a wee wipe with the alcoholic wipe that was included, and also give the round about where this is going to be glued on a good wipe with the alcohol wipe as well, to make sure there's no traces of oil at all in there. Give the best chance possible for the JB Weld to bond onto this lug. I will have to say is actually I drained the oil out of the bike a few days ago, and I did actually give this a really good clean up with some brake cleaner as well to remove any trace of oil. So this has really been spotless, and it's been sitting open for a few days. So yeah, so that should be spotless. The next job to do is to take the little stick-on dot that came in the pack. And that's actually just to cover this hole up, so that when you put the JB Weld on, there's no JB Weld goes inside that hole, because you don't want any in there at all inside that boss. Yeah, so basically stick that wee sticker on there just to stop any traces of JB Weld going on. So the next stage, it says, is take the JB Weld and basically mix up equal amounts, about a quarter of the tube. Should be plenty of that. And about the same amount of this side. Should be plenty. And basically mix the two together until it should go a nice kind of grey colour. They give you one protective glove. I thought I'd be ultra cautious. I've got one of my own as well in both hands. So just keep mixing it up so it's a nice grey consistency. Okay, and then you want to get this, and you want to get JB Weld basically inside there, inside these wee rings here, because there's wee serrated bits that are going to hold the JB Weld and onto this backing plate. So it's a case of, yep, put some on evenly onto the backing plate. Try and get into that grooved section, because that's the bit that's going, there's a wee lug on the crankcase that's really going to bond to. So basically you just want a good coverage of JB Weld in there. That's it. Almost ready to mount on the bike. So what I want to do now is to basically line this up with the spigot and push it straight on top and push it really hard in there. And what it says then is to basically wipe off any excess. And keep using clean bits of cloth so it doesn't smear all over the place. And this end is probably the most important. You want to make sure it's really clean. But what you'll see is there's a wee raised part in there, and that, to me, that looks fine. But give it a good push in, make sure it is right in there. And if I get a screwdriver, yeah, I can feel the edge of that spigot. So that is actually sitting further a wee bit back from the edge, which is exactly what you want it to be. So now it's just a case of basically going in and just cleaning off all the excess JB Weld that's in there. So as you can see, the whole idea behind this is it's really going to reinforce that whole wee spigot in there. It gives it an awful lot more strength. So should you get a bit of backlash from the starter motor, there's enough strength there so nothing is going to damage the crankcase, because it'd be a shame to wreck the motor for what is effectively quite a simple repair. And I think the last bit then is to basically remove this wee sticker. It's out. Perfect. That looks perfect. Now, what they basically say is to leave that for 24 hours before you do anything at all. So that's it. I'm just going to let that sit there and let that JB Weld cure and let that bond itself onto the crankcase. Blah, blah. So that's basically today's video. That's how to safe start your Bonneville. So again, I'm going to leave that for a day, probably more days. I'm going to service the brakes in this next, just clean all the calipers up, check the brake shoes, replace the brake fluid. Yeah, it's no rush because this bike won't be back in the road till next year anyway, so I'd rather leave that even a few days and let that cure rather than risk sticking the cover back on, filling it with oil and anything potentially going wrong. So the longer it has to cure, as far as I'm concerned, it's the better. There's no rush, but the job is now done. And as you can see, it's a fairly easy job, and it would be something potentially that could stop your Bonneville having the catastrophic failure that can potentially happen. I'll put website details, etc. for the Safe Start, where you can get it from on the video description of this website, and also in a wee link at the end of this video if you're if you want to purchase one as well. Again, I have no affiliate links or anything. I'm not trying to promote it. This is something I bought with my own money to hopefully protect my bike. So for now, I hope you've enjoyed this wee video. I hope you found it interesting and potentially useful if you're another air-cooled Bonneville owner. The newer water-cooled Bonnevilles are totally different. They will not have this issue. It's purely the air-cooled, the 790 and 865 air-cooled Bonnevilles. So anyway, for now, take care, ride safe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.